Why you wouldn't last a night in a WWII winter trench. A boring history for sleep. Hey there. Tonight we're stepping back to the winter of 1944. But before you settle in, maybe adjust your pillow, get comfortable, because we're not here to talk about grand strategies or heroic charges. We're here for something far more intimate. The long, cold, impossibly dull nights spent standing in a frozen ditch, waiting for absolutely nothing to happen. This isn't a story about battles. It's about survival against an enemy that never sleeps and never retreats, the cold. If you've ever spent a winter night camping, or maybe your heating broke down for a few hours, you have a tiny glimpse. But a World War II trench in the depths of a European winter was something else entirely. Imagine the coldest you've ever been. Now stretch that feeling across 12 hours of darkness. Then do it again the next night, and the next. The soldiers who lived through it didn't talk much about the cold when they came home. Maybe because it was too boring to explain, too ordinary, too endless. But let's walk through it together. Slowly, because that's exactly how time moved in those trenches, slowly. The trench itself, a tour of misery. Picture this. You're standing in a narrow channel carved into the earth. The walls on either side rise about 6 or 7 feet, sometimes reinforced with wooden planks, sometimes just raw mud held together by prayers and sandbags. The floor beneath your feet isn't solid ground. It's duckboards, wooden slats laid across the bottom of the trench to keep you from sinking into the freezing mud below. But the duckboards are never quite level. Some are rotted through, others are slick with ice. Every step requires attention. You learn quickly not to trust your footing. Above you, strung along the top of the trench, barbed wire coils in ugly, frozen loops. Sometimes the wire catches the moonlight and glitters. Most nights, it's just a dark tangle against a darker sky. The trench zigzags, it's never straight. This is intentional, of course. A design meant to limit blast damage if a shell lands nearby. But it also means you can never see more than a few yards ahead. Every corner looks the same. Every section of wall, every stack of sandbags, identical. It's easy to get disoriented, even after weeks of living here. The width of the trench is just enough for 2 men to pass each other if they turn sideways. Narrow, claustrophobic, the walls press in. During the day, you might notice small details. A rusted ration tin wedged between sandbags. A broken rifle stock someone propped against the wall weeks ago and forgot. Boot prints frozen into the mud, permanent as fossils. At night, all of that disappears. The trench becomes a tunnel of shadow. The only light comes from the occasional flare shot up over no man's land, and even that light is cold. Stark. It turns everything into shades of gray and black. You're not alone in the trench, technically. There are other men stationed along this section, but the night swallows sound. Voices don't carry well. You might go hours without hearing another human being. Just the wind. And the cold. The walls themselves tell a story if you care to read it. Layers of sandbags, some new, most old. The fabric is rotting. When you lean against them, they give slightly, and you can feel the cold, wet sand inside pressing back. Between the sandbags, wooden planks shore up the walls. The wood is dark with moisture, swollen in some places, cracked in others. Sometimes you can see the grain of the wood, smooth and worn where 1,000 hands have gripped it. The trench isn't straight, but it's also not random. Someone planned this. Engineers measured and calculated, but their calculations didn't account for rain, for frost, for the slow, inexorable settling of the earth. So the walls lean, the floor sinks, the duckboards shift under your weight. Nothing is quite right. Nothing is quite stable. And you live here. The first hour, getting into position. Let's say it's 1800 hours, 6 in the evening. The sun set an hour ago, and now the real cold is settling in. You've been told you're on watch tonight. 4 hours, midnight to 4 in the morning. The worst shift, everyone agrees, though honestly they're all bad. For now, you're preparing. First, the greatcoat. It's heavy, wool, standard issue. When it's dry, it does a decent job of keeping the wind out, but it's never dry. The coat has spent weeks absorbing moisture from the air, from rain, from the fog that rolls in every night. It's damp, always damp. You pull it on over your battle dress. The weight settles on your shoulders like a cold, wet blanket. The fabric smells like mildew and smoke, and something sour you can't quite identify. The coat has a collar you can turn up, and you do. It covers the back of your neck, which helps. A little. Next, gloves. You have 2 pairs. One is fingerless, made of thin wool. The other is leather with fingers, but the leather is stiff from the cold. You put on the wool pair first, then the leather over top. Your hands already feel clumsy, thick. It'll only get worse. The helmet goes on last. Steel. Cold enough that you feel it through your wool cap. The helmet is necessary, of course, but it also channels cold air down around your ears. You adjust the chin strap. It's uncomfortable, but you've learned not to leave it loose. A gust of wind can catch the helmet and send it clattering down the trench, and retrieving it in the dark is more trouble than it's worth. Now you check your rifle, the Lee Enfield. You've cleaned it already today, but you check it again. Condensation has a way of creeping into the mechanism. If moisture freezes inside the bolt, the rifle becomes a useless club. You work the bolt a few times, it moves. Stiff, but it moves. Good enough. You sling the rifle over your shoulder. Everything is ready. Now you wait. Waiting is a skill you've developed. Not patience exactly, just the ability to stand still and let time pass. You lean against the wall of the trench. The sandbags are cold and damp against your back. You can feel the moisture seeping through your coat, but you don't move. Not yet. Other men are preparing too. You can hear them, the scrape of boots on duckboards, the metallic click of rifle bolts being checked, low voices muffled by the walls. Someone coughs, a wet rattling sound. The cough lingers for a moment, then fades. You wonder if it's the same man who's been coughing for the past week. Probably. Nobody's cough gets better out here. You shift your weight from one foot to the other. Already your feet are cold. Not numb yet, just cold. You can still feel your toes, and you wiggle them inside your boots. The boots are good in theory. Leather well made, but leather only keeps water out when it's treated, and your boots haven't been treated in months. The leather is saturated, permanently damp. Inside the boots, you're wearing 2 pairs of socks. Wool. One pair is relatively dry. The other has been damp for so long you've forgotten what dry socks feel like. The damp sock is against your skin. The dry sock is on top. This is intentional. The dry sock acts as insulation. The damp sock pressed against your foot will freeze slower this way. Or so you've been told. You're not sure it makes a difference. Your feet are always cold. The walk to your post. When the time comes, you make your way along the trench to your assigned position. It's maybe 50 yards from where you've been resting. 50 yards of careful stepping, watching the duckboards, avoiding the icy patches. You pass another soldier heading the other direction. His watch is over. He doesn't say anything, just nods. His face is pale, his eyes tired. You don't say anything either. There's nothing to say. The trench turns left, then right. The walls close in around you. The The darkness is almost complete here, away from the open sky. You run your hand along the wall as you walk. It's a habit. The sandbags are rough under your gloves, and the texture helps you orient yourself in the dark. You pass a small dugout carved into the wall. A candle flickers inside. Someone's heating water for tea, probably. The light is warm, inviting. You keep walking. Another turn. The smell changes here, stronger. You're closer to the latrine pits. The smell of human waste mixed with lime. It's not as bad in winter as it is in summer, but it's still there, always there. You breathe through your mouth. Another turn and the smell fades, replaced by the smell of wet earth, damp wool, the sharp, metallic scent of frost. You reach your post. It's marked by a wooden stake driven into the wall, a number painted on it, 37. This is your spot for the next 4 hours. There's a fire step here, a ledge built into the front wall of the trench, just high enough that you can stand on it and look over the parapet into no man's land. You climb onto the step. Your boots scrape against the frozen wood. The sound is loud in the quiet. Now you're at eye level with the top of the trench. Ahead of you, beyond the sandbags and wire, the darkness stretches out, flat, empty. No man's land. You can't see much. The ground is uneven, pocked with shell holes. Barbed wire stretches across the landscape in tangled coils. In the distance, maybe 200 yards away, the enemy trench. But you can't see it, just a sense of it, a darker line against the dark. You settle in. And now the waiting begins. The cold begins to work. For the first 10 minutes, you're fine. The walk warmed you up a little. Your body heat is still trapped inside the coat. But the cold is patient. It starts with your feet. The boots are leather laced tight. Inside, you're wearing 2 pairs of socks, wool. One pair is dry, or at least it was this morning. The other pair has been damp for days. The cold finds the damp sock first. You feel it creeping in through the sole of your boot. Not painful yet, just a numbness, a distant ache. You shift your weight from one foot to the other. It helps, briefly. The fire step is narrow. There's not much room to move. If you step back, you're off the ledge. If you step forward, you're pressed against the sandbags. You stay still. The wind picks up. It's coming from the north tonight. You can feel it sliding along the trench, funneling through the zigzag channels. It finds every gap in your coat, every opening around your collar and cuffs. The cold air touches the back of your neck. Your ears start to sting. You pull the collar tighter. 20 minutes in, your fingers start to lose feeling. The gloves are doing their job technically, but the leather is stiff and the cold seeps through anyway. You flex your fingers inside the gloves. The movement is slow, clumsy. You think about taking off the gloves and rubbing your hands together, but you don't. The air is too cold. Exposed skin would freeze faster. So you keep the gloves on and flex your fingers, over and over. 30 minutes. Your nose starts to run. You wipe it with the back of your glove. The moisture freezes almost instantly on the leather. Your breath comes out in clouds, thick, visible even in the darkness. You breathe through your nose to warm the air before it hits your lungs. But your nose is so cold that it barely helps. You start to shiver, just a little, your body trying to generate warmth. It doesn't work. The cold is winning. Your jaw tightens. Your teeth want to chatter, but you clench them. Chattering teeth make noise. You've been told to be quiet, always quiet. So you clench your jaw and try to stop shivering. It only makes it worse. Your muscles tense, your shoulders hunch. The tension makes you colder. You force yourself to relax. The shivering continues. 45 minutes. You can no longer feel your toes. You know they're there, somewhere inside your boots, but the sensation is gone. Just a vague pressure where your feet press against the leather. You try to wiggle your toes. You're not sure if they're moving. Your heels ache, a deep, persistent ache that radiates up through your ankles. You shift your weight again. It doesn't help anymore. The cold has settled into your bones. The routine of the watch. An hour in, you've settled into the rhythm of it. The watch, the waiting. Every few minutes you scan no man's land, left to right, slowly, looking for movement, listening for sounds. There's nothing. Just wind. The landscape is featureless in the dark. Occasional shell holes visible as deeper shadows. The tangled wire, the uneven ground. You've been trained to watch for flares. If the enemy sends up a flare, you're supposed to freeze. Don't move. Don't look directly at the light. Wait for it to die. But no flares tonight. You shift your weight again. Left foot, right foot. The numbness in your toes is spreading. You can still feel your heels, but your toes might as well not exist. You wonder if you should stamp your feet, but that makes noise, and noise is discouraged. So you shift your weight instead, a silent, repetitive dance. The rifle on your shoulder is getting heavy. You adjust the strap. The metal of the rifle is cold enough that you can feel it through your coat. You think about how long it's been. An hour, maybe an hour and 10 minutes. 3 more hours to go. You don't have a watch. Time is measured by feeling, by the slow accumulation of cold and stiffness. You blow on your hands. The warm breath feels good for about 2 seconds. Then the moisture freezes on the leather. You stop blowing on your hands. Behind you, somewhere down the trench, a man coughs. The sound is muffled, distant. Then silence again. You stare out at the darkness, the same darkness you've been staring at for the past hour. Nothing changes. The sky is overcast. Heavy clouds block whatever moonlight there might be. The darkness is complete. You scan left to right, right to left. Nothing. You've memorized the landscape by now. The shell hole about 30 yards out. The broken tree stump to the left. The coil of wire that reflects slightly when the wind shifts it. Everything is exactly where it was 10 minutes ago. And 10 minutes before that. And 10 minutes before that. You scan again anyway. It's what you're supposed to do. The smell. Let's talk about the smell, because that's something people don't mention when they talk about the trenches. They talk about mud and cold and fear, but they don't talk much about the smell. It's everywhere, inescapable. First, there's the earth itself, wet clay and rotting vegetation. The ground here has been torn up and soaked and frozen and thawed 100 times. It smells like decay, thick, heavy. Then there's the smell of unwashed bodies. You haven't had a real bath in weeks. None of the men have. Water is for drinking, not washing. So everyone smells like sweat and dirt and stale tobacco. You've gotten used to your own smell, but sometimes the wind shifts and you catch a whiff of the man stationed 30 yards down the trench. It's sour, unpleasant. You don't judge him, you smell the same. There's also the smell of latrine pits. They're dug at the back of the trench system, away from the front line. But the wind doesn't care about geography. Sometimes it carries the smell right to you. You breathe through your mouth. Then there's the smell of rations, tinned meat, stale bread, tea made with questionable water. It all blends together into a kind of background odor, not terrible, just there. And underneath everything, faint but persistent, there's the smell of rust, metal corroding, barbed wire and shell fragments and spent casings. The whole battlefield smells like iron. You've stopped noticing most of it. But tonight, standing still for hours, the smells creep back into your awareness. Wet earth, unwashed wool, rust. There's another smell too, one you don't think about unless you have to. The smell of old cordite, explosives. It lingers in the soil, absorbed into the earth after months of shelling. Sometimes when the wind is right, you can smell it. Sharp, chemical, it makes your eyes water. Tonight, the wind shifts and the smell washes over you, brief, then gone. You breathe slowly, in through the nose, out through the mouth. And you keep watching the darkness. 2 hours in. By now, your feet are completely numb. You can't feel your toes at all. Your heels are aching. A deep, bone-level ache that no amount of shifting weight will fix. You wonder if your toes are still there. Intellectually, you know they are, but you can't feel them. It's like they've been erased. You think about frostbite. You've heard stories. Toes turning black. Amputations. You've seen men sent to the rear with feet wrapped in bandages. You flex your toes inside your boots, or at least you try to. You're not sure if they're actually moving. The wind has picked up again. It's sharper now, colder. It finds the gap between your helmet and your collar and slides down your back like a knife. You hunch your shoulders. It doesn't help. Your hands are past numb. They're actively painful now, a burning, tingling sensation in your fingertips. You know this is bad. Numbness would be better. Pain means your body is still fighting the cold. But fighting is exhausting. You pull your hands inside your coat and tuck them under your armpits. The warmth there is slight, but it's something. You stand like that for a while, hands under your arms, hunched against the wind. You can't hold your rifle like this. If something happened, if you needed to shoot, you'd fumble. But nothing's going to happen. Nothing ever happens. After a few minutes, you pull your hands back out and grip the rifle again. The cold rushes back into your fingers immediately. You sigh. The sound of your breath is loud in your ears. You go back to scanning no man's land, the routine. Left to right. Nothing. Right to left. Still nothing. You're not really looking anymore. You're just going through the motions. Your eyes are tired. The cold makes them water and the tears freeze at the corners. You blink hard. The ice cracks. You wipe your eyes with the back of your glove. And you keep watching. Your back is starting to ache. Standing in one position for this long puts strain on your lower back. You arch slightly, trying to relieve the pressure. It helps for a moment, then the ache returns. You think about sitting down, just for a minute, just to rest. But you can't, you're on watch. Sitting down is not allowed. So you stand. And the ache spreads from your lower back up your spine. Your shoulders are tight, hunched against the cold. You try to relax them, but they won't cooperate. Everything hurts. The cold has permeated every part of your body. There's no warm spot left, no refuge. You're cold all the way through. The mind wanders. When there's nothing to see and nothing to do, the mind starts to drift. You think about home, not in a sentimental way, just random fragments. The smell of your mother's kitchen, bread baking, how warm the kitchen was in winter. You think about your bed, a real bed, sheets, a mattress that didn't smell like mildew. You think about summer. What did summer feel like? You try to remember, hot sun on your face, sweating, complaining about the heat. It seems impossible now. You think about the last time you were truly warm. You can't remember. You think about food, real food, Not tinned beef or hard biscuits, a roast dinner, potatoes, gravy. Your stomach grumbles. You had your ration earlier, a tin of meat, some bread, tea. It wasn't enough, it's never enough. But thinking about food just makes you hungrier, so you stop. You try to count the minutes, count the seconds. 1, 2, 3. You lose track around 20. You start over. 1, 2, 3. You lose track again. Time feels broken, stretched, like it's moving slower than it should. You glance up at the sky. No stars tonight, just clouds, low and heavy. Maybe it'll snow. Snow would be bad, it would make everything wetter, colder. But at least it would be something different. You go back to scanning. Left to right. Nothing. Your mind drifts again. You think about the men you trained with. Where are they now? Some are here in this same trench system. Others were sent to different units. Some are gone. You don't think about the ones who are gone. You think about a girl you knew before the war. You can't quite remember her face, just the way she laughed, light, easy. You wonder if she remembers you. Probably not. You've been gone a long time. You think about what you'll do after the war, if there is an after. You don't have a plan, just vague ideas. Maybe go back to school, maybe find a job. Maybe just sleep for a week. You'd like that sleep. Real sleep, in a real bed, without the cold, without the smell. Without the constant awareness that you're standing in a frozen ditch, waiting for nothing to happen. You blink. Your mind has drifted too far. You force yourself to focus. Scan no man's land. Left to right. Nothing. Good. Keep watching. The sound of silence. People talk about silence like it's peaceful, restful. Out here, silence is oppressive. Because it's never truly silent, there's always something. The wind, the creak of wood, the distant sound of someone coughing. But there's no conversation, no music, no laughter. Just the absence of those things. You strain your ears, listening for anything unusual. A footstep, a scrape of metal, anything that might indicate movement out in no man's land. You hear nothing. The silence presses in on you. It makes you hyper-aware of your own sounds, your breathing, the rustle of your coat when you shift. You try to stay still, but staying still makes the cold worse. So you shift, and the coat rustles, and you freeze listening. Nothing. You relax. Shift again. The same rustle. You wonder if the enemy can hear you. Probably not. They're too far away. But the thought makes you self-conscious. You try to move more quietly. Slow, deliberate. Every movement calculated. It's exhausting. You stand still for as long as you can bear it. Then you shift again. And the cycle continues. Shift, listen, wait. Shift, listen, wait. Over and over. Sometimes you hear other sounds. The creak of wood as the trench settles. The drip of water somewhere in the darkness. The distant rumble of artillery, so far away it's almost imaginary. But mostly it's just the wind. And the silence underneath the wind. You've learned to distinguish different kinds of silence. There's the thick, heavy silence of a foggy night. The sharp, brittle silence of a clear, frozen night. The expectant silence before dawn. Tonight's silence is heavy, oppressive, like the clouds pressing down on the earth. You listen to it. And you wait. 3 hours in. You're not sure how much time has passed. It feels like days. Your entire body aches, your feet, Your legs, your back, your shoulders. Standing still for this long is harder than you expected. You lower yourself off the fire step, just for a moment, just to rest. You lean against the wall of the trench. The cold from the sandbags seeps through your coat. You close your eyes. Just for a second. You jerk awake. How long were you out? A few seconds, a minute. You don't know. You climb back onto the fire step. Your legs are stiff. It takes effort to get back into position. You grip the rifle, scan no man's land. Everything looks the same. You're so tired. Not sleepy tired, just worn down, exhausted by the cold, by the boredom. You think about the men who have been doing this for months, years. How do they do it? You don't know. You just know you have to keep doing it. 1 more hour. You can make it 1 more hour. You shift your weight. Your feet are beyond numb now. They're like blocks of wood attached to your legs. You can't feel them at all. You stamp your feet once, twice. The sound echoes in the quiet. You freeze, listening. Nothing. You stamp again, gently, just enough to get the blood flowing. It doesn't help. Your feet are still numb. You give up and go back to standing still. Your hands are in a similar state. The burning sensation has faded. You wonder what it is. Part of a uniform, maybe, left behind by someone who didn't make it back. You don't think about that. You focus on the sound. Flap, flap, flap. It becomes a kind of metronome, marking time. You count the flaps. 1, 2, 3, 4. You lose track. Start over. 1, 2, 3. And you keep waiting. The final hour. 4 in the morning. You know because you can feel it. The darkness is starting to thin, just barely. The sky to the east is a shade lighter than it was. Dawn is still an hour away, maybe more. But knowing it's coming helps. A little. Your replacement will arrive soon. Another soldier just as cold and tired as you, ready to take over the watch. You'll go back down the trench, find somewhere to sit, maybe drink some lukewarm tea. Maybe sleep for a few hours. But not yet. For now you're still here, still standing, still watching. Your feet are blocks of ice, your hands are useless, your face is numb. But you're still here. You've made it. Almost. You scan no man's land one more time. The landscape is starting to take shape, shadows becoming objects, the shell holes more defined. You can see the wire now, long tangled lines of it stretching across the ground. Nothing moves. Nothing ever moves. You shift your weight. Your legs are so stiff you almost fall. You catch yourself on the parapet. The sandbags are rough under your gloves. You straighten up. Keep watching. The wind has died down. The air is still now, cold and still. You can hear your own breathing, slow, steady. In, out. You're almost done. Just a little longer. The handoff. At 4:15, you hear footsteps. Slow, careful. A shape emerges from the darkness, another soldier. He climbs onto the fire step beside you. Quiet night, he asks. His voice is low, hoarse. Yeah, you say. Your own voice sounds strange. You haven't spoken in 4 hours. Right, he says. He doesn't sound surprised. They're all quiet nights. You climb down from the fire step. Your legs almost give out. You catch yourself on the wall. The other soldier doesn't notice. He's already scanning no man's land. You sling your rifle over your shoulder and start walking back down the trench. Your feet drag. Every step is an effort. But you're done. You made it. The trench is still dark. The sky is lighter now, but down here in the ditch, the darkness lingers. You walk slowly. Your legs don't quite work right, stiff, unresponsive. You pass the dugout where the candle was burning earlier. It's dark now, everyone asleep. You keep walking. Turn left, turn right. The trench is a maze, but you know it by heart now. Another turn, and you're back at your section. There's a wooden crate here. Someone's left it out. You lower yourself onto it. Your body screams in protest. Your muscles are frozen, your joints locked. You sit slowly, very slowly, and finally you're off your feet. Aftermath. The relief is immediate and excruciating. As soon as you sit down, the blood starts flowing back to your feet, and with it comes pain, sharp, burning. Your toes, numb for hours, suddenly come alive with sensation. It feels like thousands of needles stabbing into them. You grit your teeth. The pain is intense, but it's also a good sign. Pain means your feet are still there, still alive. You pull off your gloves, your fingers are white, bloodless. You flex them, slowly it hurts. Someone hands you a mug of tea. You don't know who, you don't look up. You wrap your hands around the mug. The warmth is almost painful. But you hold on. The heat seeps into your palms, slowly, very slowly. You lift the mug to your lips. The tea is bitter, weak, made with water that's been sitting in a jerry can for who knows how long. It's the best thing you've ever tasted. You sip slowly, letting the warmth spread through your chest. Your feet are still burning. The sensation is unbearable, but there's nothing you can do about it. You just sit there, drinking your tea, waiting for the pain to subside. Around you, the trench is starting to wake up. Men are moving, quiet, slow. Someone is heating water over a small stove, the smell of tinned meat cooking. Another man is cleaning his rifle, the metallic scrape of the bolt, methodical, repetitive. You sit there and watch, not really seeing, just existing. The sky is definitely lighter now, not day yet, but the darkness is fading. Another night survived. You close your eyes, and for the first time in hours, you let yourself relax. Just a little. The dugout. Eventually, you have to move. You can't sit on the crate all day. You stand, your legs protest. Your feet are still burning, but the worst of it has passed. You make your way to the dugout. It's carved into the side of the trench. A small chamber, maybe 6 feet by 8 feet. The walls are earth, shored up with wooden planks. The ceiling is low. You have to duck to get inside. It's dark in here, and cold, but it's out of the wind. There are 4 bunks, wooden frames with wire mesh stretched across them. No mattresses, just a blanket if you're lucky. You claim a bunk, the bottom one. Climbing to a top bunk requires energy you don't have. You sit on the edge of the bunk. The wire mesh sags under your weight. You pull off your boots slowly. The leather is stiff, frozen. Inside, your socks are damp. You peel them off. Your feet are pale, almost blue. The toes are swollen. You rub them, gently, trying to get the circulation back. It hurts, but you keep rubbing. After a few minutes, your feet start to look more normal. The color returns. The swelling goes down. You pull on dry socks. You keep a spare pair in your pack for moments like this. The dry wool feels like heaven. You pull the damp socks over the dry ones. It's not ideal, but it's better than nothing. You don't put your boots back on, not yet. You lie back on the bunk. The wire mesh digs into your back. The blanket is thin, scratchy. But you're off your feet. And that's enough. You close your eyes. The sounds of the trench continue around you. Men talking in low voices. The scrape of shovels. The distant rumble of artillery. You ignore it. You're so tired. Not sleepy, just exhausted, bone-deep exhaustion. You lie there, eyes closed, mind blank. And slowly, very slowly, you drift off. Sleeping in the cold. Sleep in the trench is never deep, never restful. You're aware of everything. The cold, the hardness of the bunk, the sounds outside. But your body needs rest, so it takes what it can get. You dream, fragmented, nonsensical dreams about warmth, about home, about things you can't quite remember. You wake up, check the time, except you don't have a watch, so you just lie there wondering how long you've been asleep. Maybe an hour, maybe 2. You drift off again. This time you don't dream. Just a kind of gray, unconscious state, not quite sleep, not quite waking. You're aware of the cold. It's seeped into the dugout, into the blanket, into your bones. You pull the blanket tighter. It doesn't help. You think about getting up, finding more clothes to layer on. But that requires moving, and moving requires energy. So you stay where you are. Cold, uncomfortable, but at least horizontal. Someone enters the dugout. You hear boots on the floor, the creak of a bunk. You don't open your eyes. The new arrival settles in, quiet, efficient. Then silence. You drift again, in and out of sleep, never quite reaching the deep, restorative rest your body craves. Just this shallow, fitful half-sleep. It's better than nothing. Barely. Morning routine. You're not sure what time it is when you finally give up on sleep. The dugout is still dark, but you can hear activity outside. The trench is waking up. You sit up, your back aches. The wire mesh has left imprints across your spine. You pull on your boots. The leather is still damp, still cold. You lace them slowly. Your fingers are stiff. You pull on your greatcoat. It's just as damp as it was last night, just as heavy. You duck out of the dugout. Outside, the sky is gray, overcast. It's not raining, but it feels like it might start any moment. Men are moving along the trench. Some are heading to their posts. Others are coming off watch. Everyone looks tired, pale, cold. You join the line at the cook station. It's just a metal drum with a fire underneath. Someone's boiling water. You wait your turn. When you reach the front, you're handed a tin cup of tea, weak, barely warm. You take it anyway. There's also bread, hard, stale. You take a piece and move on. You find a spot to sit, the same wooden crate as before. You dip the bread in the tea. It softens just enough to chew. You eat slowly. Around you, the trench is settling into the rhythm of the day. Quiet, methodical. Everyone doing their assigned tasks. You finish your tea. The bread is gone. You're still hungry. But that's normal. You're always hungry. Checking your feet. After breakfast, you go back to the dugout. You pull off your boots again. Your feet are still pale, still cold, but they look better than they did last night. You check for signs of frostbite. The toes are the most vulnerable. You look for discoloration, for numbness that won't go away. Everything looks normal, or as normal as it ever does. You massage your feet, working the blood back into them. It hurts, but it's a necessary pain. You've been warned about trench foot, about what happens if you don't take care of your feet. The skin breaks down, turns black, falls off. You've seen it. Men sent to the rear with feet wrapped in bandages. Some of them don't come back. So you take care of your feet. You rub them, change your socks, keep them as dry as possible. It's a losing battle. The dampness is everywhere. But you do what you can. After a few minutes, your feet feel better. Not warm, but better. You pull on fresh socks, dry ones from your pack. The damp socks you hang on a nail, driven into the wall of the dugout. They won't dry, not really, but maybe they'll be less damp by tonight. You pull your boots back on. Lace them tight. And then you sit there, waiting for the next task, the next order, the next long, cold night. Maintaining your rifle. Midday, you're given time to clean your rifle. It's a necessary task, essential. The rifle has to work, your life depends on it. You find a spot in the trench where there's a little light. You sit on the duckboards, rifle across your lap. First, you check the action. Work the bolt, it's stiff. There's moisture in the mechanism. You pull the bolt out, wipe it down with a rag. The rag is oily, dirty. You inspect the bolt, looking for rust, for damage. It looks okay. You wipe it again, then apply a thin layer of oil from a small tin you keep in your pack. The oil is thick. It doesn't flow well in the cold. But you work it into the mechanism, carefully, methodically. You replace the bolt, work it a few times. It moves smoother now. Good. Next, the barrel. You run a cleaning rod through it. The rod has a patch of cloth attached to the end. You push it through, once, twice, 3 times. The cloth comes out dirty, gray with powder residue. You replace the cloth, run it through again. Cleaner this time. You inspect the barrel, looking for pitting, for damage. It's fine. You oil the barrel lightly, just enough to protect it from moisture. Then you reassemble the rifle. Check the action one more time. Everything works. You sling the rifle over your shoulder. Task complete. Around you, other men are doing the same. The trench is filled with the quiet sounds of maintenance, the scrape of cleaning rods, the click of bolts. Nobody talks much. Everyone focused on their own rifle, their own survival. The afternoon drags. The afternoon is the longest part of the day. There's nothing to do, nowhere to go. You can't leave the trench. You can't even stand up without being visible. So you sit. You lean against the wall. The sandbags are cold and damp. You watch the sky, the clouds move slowly, heavy, gray. It might snow, or it might just stay like this, gray and cold and miserable. You think about writing a letter home. You have paper, a pencil. But what would you say? Dear Mother, I'm cold, I'm hungry, I'm bored. That's not what you're supposed to write. You're supposed to be positive, reassuring. Tell her you're fine, that the food is good, that your spirits are high. But you can't bring yourself to lie. So you don't write anything. You flex your fingers. They barely move. You blow on your hands. The warm breath lasts for a second, then it's gone. And the cold rushes back. You lower your hands. And you keep watching. The third hour. By the third hour, you're in a kind of trance. The cold has numbed everything. Your body, your mind. You're not really thinking anymore. Just existing. Standing. Watching. Waiting. Your eyes are half closed. The cold makes them water, the tears freeze. You blink, the ice cracks. You scan no man's land. Automatic now, mechanical. Left to right. Nothing. Right to left. Nothing. Your mind is blank. No thoughts, no memories. Just the present moment. The cold, the darkness, the wind. You sway slightly. Catch yourself. You're so tired. Not sleepy, just exhausted. Worn down by the cold. By the endless, relentless cold. You shift your weight. Your feet are beyond feeling now. You wonder if they're still there. You look down. You can see them, your boots. So yes, they're still there. But you can't feel them. You look back up. Scan no man's land. Same as before. Nothing. Always nothing. The fourth hour. The final hour is the hardest. Because you know it's almost over. And that makes every minute feel longer. You check the sky, looking for signs of dawn. It's still dark. But maybe a little less dark. Maybe. You can't tell. You just keep watching. Waiting. Your entire body aches. Your feet, your legs, your back. Everything hurts. But you're still standing. Still watching. You've made it this far. Just a little longer. You shift your weight. The pain in your feet flares. You ignore it. You flex your fingers. They don't respond. You ignore that too. You scan no man's land. One more time. Left to right. You realize you're in trouble. Your feet are completely numb. Not just your toes, your entire feet. You can't feel anything below your ankles. You try to stamp them. Nothing. No pain, no sensation. Just nothing. That's bad. You know that's bad. You flex your toes. You can't tell if they're moving. You look down. You can't see your feet in the dark. You feel a spike of fear. What if they're gone? What if they've frozen off? You force yourself to calm down. They're still there. They have to be. You just can't feel them. You stamp your feet harder. Still nothing. The fear grows. You think about climbing down, getting help. But you can't. You're on watch. You have to stay. So you stay. And you try not to panic. You scan no man's land. Your mind is racing. But you force yourself to focus. Watch, wait. That's all you can do. Watch, wait. And hope your feet are still there when the watch is over. The second worst hour. The second hour is worse. The numbness has spread. Up your legs now. You can't feel your calves. Just a vague pressure where they should be. Your hands are the same. Completely numb. You can't feel your fingers. You try to grip your rifle. You can't tell if you're holding it. You look down. The rifle is there, in your hands. So yes, you're holding it. But you can't feel it. You flex your fingers. No response. They might as well not exist. You're starting to lose sensation in your face too. Your cheeks, your nose. Just a numb mask. You touch your face with your hand. You can't feel the touch. Not on your hand, not on your face. It's like you're disappearing. Piece by piece. Erased by the cold. You scan no man's land. Still nothing. You're not sure how much longer you can stand here. But you don't have a choice. You have to keep going. 2 more hours. You can make it. You have to make it. The third hour. By the third hour, fourth night is no different. You make your way to your post. Number 37. Same as always. The wind is blowing. The sky is dark. You climb onto the fire step. And you settle in. 4 hours. You scan no man's land. Left to right. Nothing. Right to left. Nothing. The cold seeps in. Your feet go numb. Your hands stiffen. Same as every night. You shift your weight. You flex your fingers. You breathe slowly. In, out. And you wait. Time passes. Slowly. Always slowly. The acceptance. Somewhere in the middle of the fourth watch, something changes. Not the situation. The situation is the same. Cold, dark, endless. But something inside you changes. You stop fighting it. The cold, the discomfort, the boredom. You just accept it. This is your life now. Standing in a frozen trench. Watching nothing. Waiting for nothing. And that's okay. Not good. Never good. But okay. You can endure this. You have endured this. Night after night. And you'll keep enduring. Because that's what you do. You scan no man's land. And for the first time, you're not counting the minutes. Not wishing for the watch to end. You're just standing. Watching. Being. The cold is there. But it's just cold. The darkness is there. But it's just darkness. It can't hurt you. Not really. You're stronger than it. You've proven that. Night after night. You're still here. Still standing. Still watching. And you'll keep doing it. For as long as you have to. Dawn. At 4:15, your replacement arrives. You climb down. Your legs are stiff, but they hold. You walk back down the trench. The sky is starting to lighten. Dawn is coming. Another night survived. You get your tea. night will be just as cold. And the night after that. And the night after that. Until the war ends. Or until you can't anymore. The men who survived this, they were remarkable. Not because they were heroes, but because they were human. And they kept going. Even when everything in them wanted to stop. They and stay warm.